everyone, back tuning into today's first video. Going to have a look at the weather next week, 10 days. For today's first video, this will take us to around the 25th of March. So we're going towards the latter stages of the month now with our week to 10-day updates. So we'll deal with that in this video, but we'll also be dealing with weather in the more immediate time frame, which is next few days. So over weekend and start of next week. We're going to get winds back into the east. It's been well trailed, so I'm sure you're aware of what's going on. High pressure's returning to Scandinavia. Going to turn the wind into the east. Going to have beast from the east part 2, albeit this one will be a little bit more shorter lived compared to beast from the east part 1. But it will be very cold, and there's actually been a level 3 cold weather alert issued by the UK Met Office, which I'm going to talk you through in a moment. There will be snow as well, and actually we're going to update Snow Watch tonight for this spell. So our first Snow Watch for this spell will be coming up at Gansovins around 7 o'clock this evening. So let's deal with cold weather first of all, before we think about the week to 10-day time frame. So this is the cold weather alert from the UK Met Office. I'm going to leave the excuse me, I'm going to leave the link to this page in the description box at YouTube. Current alert level number 3, cold weather action. There is a 90% probability of severe cold weather and locally heavy snow between 9 o'clock on Friday, 16th of March in the evening, 2100 hours, and 9 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday, the 20th of March in parts of England. This weather could increase the health risk to vulnerable patients and could disrupt the delivery of services. Please refer to the National Cold Weather Plan and your Trust Emergency Plan for appropriate preventative action. A cold EC flow is expected to return during the weekend, likely lasting until Monday. At present, it looks unlikely to be as severe as the conditions experienced at the start of the month, but unusually low temperatures and some snowfall are expected. After a relatively mild period this week, trigger criteria for low temperatures are likely to be met quickly across England from Saturday onwards, with the severe air first arriving during Friday night across the northeast. Widespread frost, low daytime temperatures and significant wind chill are likely to develop. Snowfall looks likely across high ground Friday into Saturday, with snow showers following behind and affecting many low-lying areas, especially in the east. A chance of more persistent snow across southern parts and perhaps parts of Midlands Saturday night into Sunday, with some uncertainty at this stage. The highest confidence is in respect to the predicted low temperatures. Keep in touch with the Met Office weather warnings regarding snowfall in the coming days. But it goes on to explain that there will be updates and changes over the coming days. And then you see that what the level is. So level 1 is the lowest level, level 2 is sort of the next level. We're at level 3, and the highest level you can go to is level 4. So pretty worrying for parts of southern and eastern Britain in the next few days in terms of getting more very cold weather. It does say it won't be as severe as beast from east part 1, and that's what we expected at the end of February into the early part of March. Was an incredibly severe spell of weather for so late in the winter. It won't be as bad as that, but nevertheless, it is going to be a really cold weekend coming up, and there will be more snow in places as well. If you need advice about this in terms of travelling or anything else, then the weather warnings, the weather alerts section at UK Met Office is always the place to go. Right, so this is how things are looking for the next 7 to 10 days from the Penn State University website. These are 500 millibar high anomaly flowcharts. We've got the ECMWF here on the top, and the GFS, which I'll have a look in a moment, is on the bottom. 500 millibars, 80,000 feet is an area in the atmosphere. High pressure, low pressure are being grabbed by the jet stream, and that essentially is what weather is, a movement of air masses by the jet. So blue extrapolates to low pressure, and orange and red, brighter colours, they extrapolate to high pressure. So what the ECMWF is showing is that we've got an area below average heights out to west of the country and up to the north and to the southeast in a 7 to 10 day time frame. And so it's doing something a bit like that with the flow and with the jet stream. It looks rather unsettled, and it's still rather cool, to be honest, because the above average heights of high pressure centering out into the middle of the Atlantic with the trough there. We're pulling the air out of sort of the northern part of the Atlantic. It's not beast from the east. Air mass that, but it is pretty chilly air nonetheless, so cool and unsettled sums it up. And the GFS is very similar, again below average heights to the west, this time to the southwest as well, with the above average heights centered in the middle of the Atlantic. It means we're still on the cool side of the jet stream, doing something like that with the flow and with the jet. Also trying to build up a little bit of a ridge to our east again. I'm not sure about that, but anyway, it looks pretty cool and unsettled really as we're approaching Easter with both of these models. GFS ensembles next, so we're looking at Canterbury today. The red line here is the upper air temperature average for Canterbury. You can see what's going on. We're starting off pretty mild today, but very shortly it's going to be downhill all the way. Another real plunge in upper air temperatures taking place into the weekend, turning bitterly cold, with again the temperature getting very close to -15 at 850 HPA. That's very cold indeed for the time of year, certainly under -10. As we go into next week, we see the temperatures slowly starting to lift up, but it's not really until the second half of next week, but it does actually begin to turn quite a bit milder. But even then, still probably quite unsettled and maybe fairly chilly as well. In terms of the precipitation, we find that we've got precipitation spikes coming up in the next few days. Not many of them, but there's enough there to suggest there will at the very least be snow showers as we go into the weekend. And then as temperature lifts up next week, maybe beginning to turn more definitively unsettled then, although not desperately wet. This is how the surface temperatures are looking for Canterbury. So starting off fairly mild at the moment, around 10 degrees Celsius. That's freezing down there. By the time you get through to the weekend, the daytime temperatures are generally hovering around freezing, really, by day and by night, hovering around freezing all day. And then slowly those temperatures begin to lift up through to next week. But it takes a while to get back to 10 degrees Celsius maximum. That doesn't happen until the end of next week. So a real short, sharp shock of cold air coming up in the next few days. Temperature anomalies are looking like that. Colder than average for the UK and Ireland, colder than average for pretty much all parts of Europe. And we've seen this quite a bit in the last few weeks, because the anomaly charts back at the end of February and in early March look very similar to this as well. So it isn't quite as severe with the anomalies or indeed the temperatures as we had back at the start of the month, but nevertheless still a really potent spell of cold weather, not just for the UK but for most of Europe as well. Precipitation anomalies look like that. It's wetter than average, or continues to be wetter than average through southern Europe, including all of those Mediterranean holiday destinations, but further north it's drier than average. So you can see again where the block is sitting, somewhere around Scandinavia down into Denmark. That's where the block is going to be sitting and keeping precipitation really quite dry there, with the jet stream being directed well to the south of us into southern Europe. Let's show you where the jet stream will be. The jet stream is going down here as the high pressure sits up there. And so that takes all of the rain-bearing weather systems down into the Mediterranean. Right, so this is how the GFS is looking then for tomorrow. High pressure is building up over Scandinavia, and this low pressure out of the Atlantic is being blocked and forced back into the middle of the Atlantic, with the wind beginning to turn into the east or the southeast. That takes us to Saturday, when we're in a direct easterly shot, bitterly cold air flooding into UK, across Europe. You can follow the isobars back. The air originates from there, originates from Russia, and that's pushing across Europe and into the UK. Once again, we saw it at the end of February. We see it again as we get to the middle of March. The easterly wind continues through the course of Saturday, so a bitterly cold day on Saturday. In fact, it'll probably be a day where it gets colder and colder as those easterly winds set in. Look at the upper air temperatures for Saturday. So again, -10 Celsius isotherm is across the country, is out in the Irish Sea. heading into the Irish Republic, and we've got temperature going colder than that, upper air temperature going colder than that across most parts of the UK, somewhere between -10 and -15 at 850 HPA. That bitterly cold easterly wind is continued into Sunday as well. That looks like it could be quite snowy, but remember I talked you through the weather alert from the UK Met Office. They did say there is the possibility of a more general area of snow around Saturday night to Sunday morning, and that looks like it could be going in that sort of direction, what we're seeing there. So again, we will cover that in Snow Watch tonight. This is how things look through the course of Sunday itself. The high pressure begins to slip down across the north of the country, so mainly dry there, but very cold. The easterly winds continue in the south throughout Sunday, though, so more snow showers likely there, and the upper air temperatures stay bitterly cold. Through the course of next week, that high pressure is gradually sinking down over the country, so slowly we lose the easterly wind. It'll turn less cold, still with night frost, but it'll be less cold. And as we go into the second half of next week, actually we begin to find the Atlantic starting to re-establish as the high pressure weakens. So that's how we look on day 10, back to pretty unsettled weather, but again the jet stream is still to our south. The black line here is where the jet stream is going to be. In fact, let's change that and show you exactly where the jet stream is. So that's where the jet stream is. It's in the northern part of the Atlantic up here, but then it's still doing something very abnormal in that it's plunging like that. And so we've still got this trough within the 500 millibar flow. And as long as that remains the case, as long as we have that jet stream going down to Spain and Portugal, and it goes even further south than that, actually, around here, it's going down to, like, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia. As long as that's happening, we will be at the further risk of getting cold weather. So, as I said in yesterday's video was titled More Cold Possible Up to Easter, and I think that remains the case. As long as that jet stream is in that very abnormal sort of position, we will remain at risk of getting more cold snaps. So how the surface temperatures are looking over the next few days. So pretty mild today. Temperature across England and Wales around 11, 12 degrees, but cold in the north. No problems with temperatures tonight. Still mild for England and Wales tomorrow as well, but it's getting colder up in the north and the northeast. And then the cold air sets in on Friday night into Saturday morning. So we find that away from southern counties of England anyway, temperatures are falling below freezing overnight, Saturday to Sunday. That Friday to Saturday, I should say. That sets us up for a bitterly cold day on Saturday, with temperatures in many northern and east areas struggling to get much above freezing, -1, -2, maxima being suggested for parts of northeast England, for example. Down in the south, we're only up +1 to +3 degrees, and it'll feel colder than that with those easterly winds. There's the minimum temperatures on Saturday night, Sunday morning. Very cold indeed, with temperatures going well below freezing, -3, -4, quite widely. Another bitterly cold day, potential for ice days in a few areas on Saturday and on Sunday as well, and a severe frost again on Sunday night. But then Monday sees a temperature going above freezing. It is cold, that's really quite cold indeed for the middle of March, but 5 or 6 degrees will feel much more comfortable compared to temperatures over the weekend. And then through the course of next week, we see the temperature hovering around 7 or 8 degrees by day, going still below freezing by night. As we get through to the middle of next week, gradually we're losing the frost risk, and temperatures are getting closer towards 9 or 10 degrees. So slowly but surely next week, we're going to see the temperatures starting to stage a recovery. This is how the GEM is looking. The easterly wind is still in there on Saturday, bitterly cold. Again, there's that suggestion. This is midnight Sunday. It's a suggestion with this elongation in the isobars that there's some sort of disturbance moving across England and Wales, maybe enhancing the snow, producing more prolonged bouts of snow perhaps on Saturday night and Sunday morning. We will look at the possibility for that on Snow Watch. tonight. Monday into Tuesday, the high pressure slips down across the country. We cut off that easterly wind, and then in second half next week, beginning to re-establish a southwesterly flow, so turning less cold and then milder into second half of next week. We go up to day 10, and we look cool and unsettled, with again the jet stream still aligned northwest to southeast, a trough in the 500 millibar flow. East MWF looks like that. The winds in from the east over the weekend. Bitterly cold easty winds. The air is originating from Siberia, so it will feel bitterly cold again. That's midnight Sunday. Again, some sort of disturbance could well be running across the south, producing more prolonged bouts of snow. And then as we go through into next week, the high pressure slips down across the country, cuts off the easterly flow. There'll be night frost, quite substantial night frost up to the middle of next week. Then the second half of next week should lose the frost risk as the winds return back to the Atlantic. It should get less cold and then milder. And then we go up to day 10, turning things increasingly unsettled. And again, we've got that idea that the jet stream is still doing something like that. So as long as that remains the case, we will be at further risk, even as we go into April, of possibly getting more cold snaps. Finally, I'll just show you the snow depth charts from that ECMWF run from website weather.us. So this is for Friday tomorrow. Not much snow away from the northeast, but let's go through to Saturday, and you'll see that then we do start to see the signs of snow showers beginning to produce a little bit of cover. We go further on into Sunday, and then we've got fairly widespread, if not particularly deep, snow cover appearing across many parts of the country, telling us that snow showers are being brought in on those sort of easterly winds. Let's go further into Sunday, and the depths do increase, especially so for the south, also for parts of South Wales. So that means again some sort of more prolonged area of snow moving across the south of the country during the course of Saturday night and into Sunday. Further north, quite deep snow cover there. That's some snow showers across parts of northern and eastern England. We will cover that in depth in Snow Watch tonight, but the message really is that the beast from the east is back just a couple of days over the weekend. Won't be quite as severe as we had it at the end of February and into the start of the month. But even so, we're seeing signs again of unusually cold air. This is unusually cold for the middle of March, both upper air temperatures and surface temperatures from these easterly winds. So it will be bitterly cold, and there will be snow coming up this weekend as well. As we get through to next week, it turns less cold for the early part of the week, but still with substantial night frost. And then the second half of next week, we get a milder push from off the Atlantic. But how long that lasts, I'm not sure, because the jet stream remains abnormal even as we're going into the final stages of the month. And we could have more cold snaps, as I was saying yesterday, going up to Easter. Right, so that's brought you up to date, and later on, as I say, we'll have Snow Watch. That'll be coming up this evening, so come back for that. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.